Hello and welcome, my name is Dychronic, and today we're going to be taking a look at my top 10 PvE primaries in Destiny 2 Lightfall. And of course, as always, I have created my spreadsheet for this video, which can still be found at my Discord server, fully public for you to use. And if you're new to Destiny or you've never seen these spreadsheets before, I also have a tutorial to the spreadsheets to give you a better idea of how they work. And if you find this video or these spreadsheets helpful, please consider checking out my Patreon. Without your help, I may have to stop making spreadsheets. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. On screen right now, this is my spreadsheet. All of its dark theme, color-coded, recommendations, and all the whatnots for all the different weapons I considered in this video. Keeping in mind that this is not all the weapons in the game, because obviously this lists lag and it's at already almost 200 options. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll not only know what I think are the top 10 types of weapons in the game, but you'll have a good understanding of the PvE meta and how things are used in the high-level play and mid-level play and how they apply to those activities. Because believe it or not, the number one in the game does not mean the number one for endgame or the number one for every game. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Coming up first at number 10, we have a couple of exotic bows known as Tiku's Divination and Trinity Ghoul, both of which I find to be very fun weapon with a lot of efficacy as well. Now in general, it's kind of difficult to rate bows because they're very different than a lot of other weapons, infinite range, and obviously very punishing if you miss or hit body shots, but these two in particular handle what they need to handle very, very well. Trinity Ghoul being an expert at killing lots of adds, because every time you get a kill with it, especially with the Catalyst, you get that extra lightning bolt effect and you just continue to lightning bolt, which was Jolted before Jolted existed. Tiku's Divination a little bit more towards the major killing because you can do a lot of boss damage with a bow, which is really nice to see. And honestly, bows are kind of fun to use. It makes you feel like you're using something different. And when it comes to legendaries, I really like the lightweights. Definitely faster fire rate as long as you can get their accuracy up to par. Following that at number 9, we have a couple of weird options here. We have the Traveler's Chosen, which is an exotic sidearm, and we have the Monte Carlo, which is a 600 RPM auto rifle. Now, even though they're very, very different, they're both used for similar reasons. Both of them are used for ability-based builds. The Monte Carlo being melee energy from doing damage and getting kills, and the Traveler's Chosen being all energy from getting kills and hitting the reload button. So if you have a build that is very dependent on your abilities and you don't yet have the mods or subclass or fragments to make that all work, or the exotic armor, these weapons do fill the gap and make it so you get those very, very quickly. And there are other legendary weapons with things like Demolitionist or Wellspring or Pugilist that you can kind of circumvent this need for these weapons, but these are definitely going to be the kings of get your abilities back faster. And both of which are exotics, meaning they have exotic tier stats, making them the best version of that archetype. TLDR, if you want a lot of abilities, Monte Carlo or Traveler's Chosen. Up next after that at number 8, we have the Adaptive Frame 390 Pulse Rifles. Definitely going to be your very stock standard, quote-unquote boring weapon, but very dependable in pretty much any situation you need it. It has incredible control for better handling, better range, better stability, incredible perk options, availability for both kinetic slot and energy slots. We even have a couple of crafted, although no energy crafted. And frankly, it handles pretty much the longest range you're ever going to need in even a Grandmaster Nightfall. And it occupies a very long range and can still be used at close range. My personal favorite is going to be the Syncopation, which is a roll drop from Witch Queen, and it has the Headstone roll, which is very fun. Following that at number 7, we have the Hawkmoon. In my opinion, a dangerously underrated weapon. If you've never heard of it, you can actually buy it from the Xur. Every week it comes with a different roll that's actually a random roll, and it is a 140 hand cannons with really good stats. Other than range, it has really good stats across the board. And its most important perk is the fact that it has the paracausal shots, where as you're getting headshots and kills with the weapon, you get more stacks, up to 7 stacks, and that final shot will actually do incredible amounts of damage. Almost an Izanagi's ×4 honed edge damage from a primary ammo weapon, as long as you're getting headshots or you're getting kills with this weapon. Which again, I should mention, stats and aim assistance and handling are really good, so you're going to be getting those headshots a lot more than you think. The one downside with this, other than the fact that it is an exotic and the special and heavy exotics are dominant, is the fact that heavy machine guns have occupied the total ammo damage that we need these days, that Hawkmoon is just not necessary. Following that at number 6, we have the Precision and Lightweight Frame Scout Rifles, which might seem like an odd pairing considering they're two different frame types, but in my opinion, they're both used for the same reason. And more accurately, the high impact, the aggressive, and the lightweights are not exactly what I'm looking for and a little bit more difficult to control. These, again, are kind of in the middle. Great control, great availability, great range, great perk options, just good stuff across the board, and they handle that range that you need from a scout rifle, which is why you pick a scout rifle, is for their range. Something like the rapid fires, which may be a fan favorite like Servant Leader, Aisha's, and Trusty, are a bit hard to control. You definitely need a lot of perks for the control and straddle the line of trying to be a longer range auto rifle or a pulse rifle range. And perhaps even more importantly, you cannot get explosive payload on these rapid fire frames, but on these 180s and 200s you can get explosive payload. And as I've said many times before, if you can get explosive payload on a primary weapon, it is the best choice for that weapon almost entirely across the board. Explosive payload increases the range drop off, it gives the flinch to the enemy, it actually increases the damage for both body shot and headshot. It is just incredible perk. And these scout rifles, definitely the ones that I keep, all have explosive payload. Following that at number 5, in my opinion, the best pulse rifles, we have the rapid fire frames. And although they don't have as much range and control as the 390s, as the adaptives, and may not be the best option for the Grandmaster Nightfalls and Master Raids, they can still be used at pretty good range, especially if you get good perks on them that can control that recoil direction, control that stability, and getting good perks overall, like obviously Frenzy, Adrenaline Junkie, Perpetual, stuff like that. TLDR, they feel great at close range, they feel decent at long range, they feel very fun, and there are a decent amount of options, although not a lot of craftable options. My personal favorite is obviously going to be my crafted Peace of Mind, but these days, Autumn Wind drops pretty commonly from Crucible, and Horror's Least is focusable at Zavala. After that, at number 4, we have the Osteostriga, which is honestly probably going to be a fan favorite, definitely something that a lot of people will find as their number 1 favorite weapon. And it should not come as a surprise, as this literally solves the problem of ad slaying. Probably one of the best, if not the best, ad slaying primary in the game. Lots of poison explosions, damage over time. It also has a catalyst that returns ammo back to the magazine as you're getting poison kills, and the Necrotic Grip Warlock exotic gauntlets also make them even better. The one downside is the fact that it is an exotic, and the dominant exotics these days are definitely in the special and heavy ammo. TLDR, it's one of the best ad slaying options in the game, but it is an exotic. After that, at number 3, we have the 720 auto rifles, including Quicksilver Storm, which quickly became one of my favorite weapons in the game. Even though it came out in Season of the Plunder, I really haven't used it that much until obviously the release of Lightfall, and honestly it's so good, which made me actually start using more other 720s like Crate and my Sweet SAR that I've had for a while, and they just feel really nice. Again, if you can control the recoil direction, the stability with some decent perks, they feel really great. Quicksilver Storm, bringing that to another level with exotic tier stats, I think maxed out stability, also has those micro missiles which do a good amount of extra damage, and the grenade launcher which also does a lot of extra damage, and the catalyst makes it also do strand damage and create tangles, which is like, wow, this weapon is really good. However, obviously auto rifles are a sustained weapon, meaning you cannot peek in and out of cover and maintain your DPS. You do need to sustain damage, and that can be dangerous in the higher level play. Not to say that you can't use it, it's probably just not going to be the best option. But outside of the highest level play like Master Raids or Grandmaster Nightfalls, they're incredible, they're fun, and there's a lot of good options. Things like the Crate is a world drop. You can get that pretty much anywhere. And the Dark Decider, obviously from Iron Banner, is also pretty common if you do Iron Banner. And Rufus's Fury, obviously from the new Raid. Up next, at number 2, perhaps a bit of a controversial pick, we have the Adaptive Frame 140 Legendary Hand Cannons. And I would say in general, most of the people in my comments and a lot of the people that I know would say that hand cannons are not much of a PvE weapon, and I personally wholly disagree. They're definitely harder to use, higher skill floor, higher skill ceiling, but are definitely worth using, especially in the highest level play. And honestly, very satisfying to use, especially for getting those headshots. With that, I find they occupy a very good range zone, good at mid-range, mid-long, and even close range without having a very difficult aim assistance cone. With that, obviously they can peek shoot, which is a very important aspect for the highest level play, allowing you to maintain that damage output over range, and of course, make yourself less vulnerable, which is very important, which is why you don't see a lot of SMGs and auto rifles in the higher level play. And in general, I'd also say that a well-rolled hand cannon is night and day compared to a poorly rolled hand cannon. So if you've had poor experiences with hand cannons in the past, it could be that you're not using the top 20 or top 10% of rolled hand cannons. And obviously this may sound annoying to hear, that hey, you should get a good one before you judge it. And it does suck to hear, but it really does feel significantly different. Good stats, good perks on a good hand cannon like these 140s really feels great. Things like explosive payload or frenzy can really make the difference. And I'll say it again, explosive payload, the best primary ammo perk in the game, and things like Fatebringer or Jali's Bane have it. TLDR, I think that they're incredible, especially in the end game, but definitely take some time to get used to. And finally, at number 1, in my opinion, the best PvE primary in the game are gonna be the submachine gun, specifically the aggressive and the lightweight frame. Both of which, in my opinion, deserve the number 1 slot, although I do favor a little bit more towards the aggressives, being a little bit more controllable over range. And why is it that the SMGs are so good? First of all, they're a lot more controllable than they used to be a couple of years ago. Secondly, even though they don't have a lot of kills per clip, their damage output, their stopping power is unparalleled, other than maybe sidearms. And honestly, we have a lot of really good options, including craftable options like Ikelos or the Immortal or Extra Rendi, Borrow Time, even though a large saturated pool, the craftable Callus Mini Tool or Submission. A lot of world drops across the board like Funnel Web or Prolonged Engagement, and all of them just feeling really fun to use. You're killing enemies faster than they can kill you before they can even damage you. And probably the fan favorite right now is going to be the Funnel Web. Obviously a lightweight frame, a world drops, comes from Gunsmith, sometimes he gives you the God roll, etc. And then, of course, there's the Immortal, which obviously is a problem in Iron Banner, and obviously Trials of Osiris, but is still pretty good in PvE as well. I say pretty good, no, it's freaking excellent. It is the best in the game. Are you kidding me? Rangefinder plus Hatchling, or Target Lock, or Kill Clip? That's incredible. And again, these videos, these spreadsheets, and of course, my occupation on YouTube are not possible without my patrons on Patreon. Specifically, big thank you to Mom, Dad, Cape Shaw, Waffle Ryan, Prez, Joe Batten, Robert Strayer, James Ostler, Monte, Steve Bogner, Junior Panther, Case Reagan, William Prison, and Arcos for the support on Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.